In this life, there are moments when we feel a shift in things. We leave a moment different from when we entered it. These moments make us who we are. Let's talk about them.
Hey everyone, this is April with a quick note before the episode. We recorded this a few days before Cary's dad unexpectedly died. You'll hear us joke about me mistakenly thinking he was dead. And I just wanted to clarify, he indeed has passed away. It was just at the time of recording, he was still with us. Thanks.
Hey guys, welcome to Finch and Sparrow. I'm Cary, the extroverted awesome friend, and this is April.
I'm April. I'm the introverted, less awesome friend.
Not.
I know, but I'm like, how the hell do I follow that up?
How do you throw your friend a curveball like that? That's how you do it.
Middling awesome friend. Yeah. And today we're talking about how we even became friends and how we know each other, because people know from the podcast that we've known each other, but they don't know how long or anything. So before we get started, maybe listener, consider, how long do you think we've known each other and how? And now we will start. Push pause if you need time to think about that, because we're not waiting for you.
We wait for no one. Well, it started out when all friendships start out during the early 20s, right? It's on the internet.
Mm-hmm. Was it early 2020s? You figured it out the other day.
2019?
Or the late aughts?
It was between 2019 and 2020, for sure.
Okay.
Because it was right before COVID, and it was right after Riley was born.
And when did you make the crazy quilt? That's my timeline for you.
Yeah, like around that time, 2019. Okay. Let's start at the beginning. It's the best place to start, I hear. Okay, so April and I live nowhere close to each other. Let's start there. For those of our friends who are listening that don't know this, April and I both live in Michigan, but we live, is it 3.5 hours away from each other?
Or two
I
and a
live
half
on
or
the east
three.
side of the state by the thumb, and she lives all the way on the west side of the state, like the middle. So we are very, very far apart. And how we're even friends still befuddles me. If I didn't know the whole story, then I would still be like, what the heck? How did this happen? Because I never thought I'd have a friend that's so close to me that lives so far. And that our friendship's been like that the whole time. It's not like you were a neighbor down the street and we were friends and then you like moved away or I moved away. It's like we became friends that are really tight over the internet.
From
And if
far
it
away.
wasn't for the internet, we wouldn't be friends,
Mm-mm.
right?
Not even
Not at all.
like. Well,
We
yeah,
would
we'd be
know each
friendly.
other,
Yep. But we wouldn't even
but we would
interact or
not be friends.
intersect very often.
No, not at all. So this goes back. So to backpedal to the beginning and where it started was April and I have a shared acquaintance / friend that, well, I mean, was your acquaintance, but my friend from high school. Her name is Teresa, and she created this sewing group called the Long Distance. What are we called? The Long Distance.
The name changed several times. Something
Okay, we're Long
quilters.
Distance Quilters. Yes, okay, Long Distance Quilters, we'll call ourselves. So she created this group with people she knew because she traveled across country with her husband, who was in the military. And along the way, she had met friends and showed some of them how to sew or found a friendship through sewing. And she ended up making this group of people across the country that all have the same quilting want, need, wish, ability, skill, insert whatever you need to here. But so she collected a bunch of people. Well, then I remember that I got in touch with her because we were friends on Facebook, but we were friends on Facebook because we went to high school together. So we went to high school together. And so I had admired all her quilts, and I said, "Oh, that's on my bucket list to create one quilt." One quilt. That was a long time
Because
ago.
you are a serial crafter, right? You're like,
I
that
still
craft
claim
looks
that.
cool. I'm doing it. And that's it, because
Uh-huh.
there's another one waiting and I have to do it. Or a
Yeah.
serial
So,
creative. I don't know. Because
yeah,
you do more than crafts.
serial crafter I think is perfect because literally it's mostly crafting, and crafting is like usually creating with your hands something, right? So it could be woodworking, it could be you're crafting something, you're creating something. So I had told her that, and I had bought supplies to try to make something because I was pregnant with my son at the time. And so she invited me to the group, and I kinda, like, hung out in the wings. We were, like, on Facebook here and there, and I just sorta started watching everybody sewing and all the beautiful fabrics they were using, and still going to Joann and getting these rulers, and I remember the first quilt I ever made was all rectangles because I literally just traced the entire ruler grid instead of, like,
Ah,
making
just so you
squares.
know, listener, that's strange. Don't worry,
Anyways.
Carrie, the first time I did quilting, I didn't even know a ruler was a thing, and so I just
Mm,
measured out with my hand squares. I didn't it was horrible. I didn't know about the rulers. So
that
anyways,
sounds like a dangerous, dangerous thing.
so you were
I can
light and years
imagine.
ahead of me to
Mm.
know that a ruler was part of the project, so
Well, it's just from, like, watching you guys probably, like, post, "Oh, here," and then there's a ruler in the background, and I was like, "Oh,
mhm.
I need that." And I know I need this pencil for marking things, which we don't use those. We don't use pencils for marking unless we're making something very that's, like, for dressmaking or, pattern making, like, we don't use pencils
Well, you
really.
do if you're fussy cutting, but
Oh, sometimes,
yes,
right? But, like, it's not
that's
a
a whole 'nother
need.
level that you weren't chasing down yet, so
Yeah, no,
but
but
you
so
didn't
so
know.
anyways, I went and I collected a bunch of supplies, and I vicariously was watching everybody sew because I didn't have a friend near me because Teresa was, I think, in North Dakota or something then. Wasn't she in North
Yeah,
Dakota, South
nobody
Dakota?
was in a lot of these women half of the women in the group were women that Teresa knew from back home in Eastern Michigan, but
Mhm.
who had all left.
Yeah.
And so I remember she had it was like this group of women that she would handpick along the way, like you said, in her journeys. But she always seemed to vet somebody or introduce them to be like, "Hey, I'm thinking of my friend Jenny in the group. What do you guys think?" So it was like always initiated by her, but she would kind of like throw it out there sometimes. So I remember
Mhm.
one day she was like, "Okay, there's this girl I want to invite to the group, but I usually she doesn't come through the normal ways of being somebody that I taught to sew." She's like, "I don't really know if she sews, but her name is Carrie and she's my cousin's husband's daughter's sister,
Oh,
and
no,
so we're
no. Oh, because
related."
at that time, we recognized, "Oh, crap, we're related now." Because when we were in high this is what happens when you live in a small town. When we were in high school together, we weren't related.
Were you in the same grade?
Yes, we were in the same grade, same
Got it.
graduating year, but we did not
Class.
graduate together because my parents got divorced, so then I moved. So
Mhm.
then when my parents got divorced, my mom ended up meeting somebody, and she happened to be Teresa's uncle. So now
Oh,
my mom is married to Teresa's uncle, so now we're like cousins, which creates a whole 'nother funny aspect to why we're friends and how this whole thing goes down because there's other people in the group now that I'm related to as well, which I think is hilarious because I always thought I diverted around all of that small
oh,
town,
the,
like,
small town breeding?
relations, yeah, and here I am
Well, you
right back
did,
into
but
it.
your families did not.
Yeah, exactly,
So I remember
100%.
she was like, "What do you guys think? I don't know what sewing she does," and I guess we must have been like, "Whatever, who cares?" And so
Yeah,
then you came in.
yeah.
But my first
So I
memory of you wasn't this rectangle quilt that you made.
okay.
So I apparently it was there. It was the crazy quilt.
Oh, the crazy quilt. Yeah,
When did you make that?
I did some serial quilting, very quickly, and I don't even know what order they were in because I think at first I was like, "Oh, I'll number these." No, because you pick up a project, you do another one, then and I know around the same time, my friend Christina, who lives in New York, had a baby, and so I made her a quilt. I made her a baby quilt, and then I made her a quilt for her son, who I think he was like 4 at the time or 5. I honestly don't remember how old he was. But basically, I ended up banging out 2 quilts. I made 1 for each of them, and so I, like, finished those quickly and then sent those off, and then I also made the crazy quilt, and the crazy quilt was just for me picking up a jelly roll and then, like, putting it all together, and then I just went crazy and started just sewing, like, elk into the quilt, and there's, like, a guy on a snowboard. I, like, even went so far to, like, cut out pieces.
It's
pin
like
them to the
woodsy,
quilt, and
kind
then
of.
it was just insane. I went from, like, 0 caliber, like, "Oh, I'm starting to learn," to just, like, full metal, like,
I'm
quilting like a
bedazzling
maniac.
this thing. I'm gonna learn
I know, I could've, and
embroidery.
then I put all our names, and so I ended up making it for my in-laws because they just bought a cottage up north, a new
Mhm.
one, and so I put the whole family's names in it. 2 I even, like, free motion quilted 2 mugs together by the fire,
Oh,
a
yep,
little
I remember
fireplace,
that.
like, it's just insane the amount, like, fishing poles, and it's just there's a
Yeah, because that
trout.
stuff takes a long time. It is
It
not
was
something you just, like,
insane.
whip out in 10 minutes.
No, it was insane, but I made it, and I finished it, and it's up north, and that was, like, I think, oh my god, and then I remember I even used Minky on the border as the binding. Oh,
Oh my, how the
it's
hell did that work?
it's insane. It
Part of the
works, it's
crazy
so
quilt,
intact.
because it's crazy.
It's crazy, it's an crazy insane quilt. So anyways, that's when you remember me. That's when I was an insane quilter. I have since honed my skill to more modern quilting, but, um, that's how it started. That's how you remember me, huh?
Mhm.
I
'Cause I was like,
remember.
"That's fun."
Yeah, so she introduces me into this group, and we all start chittering and talking and, like, trying to figure out who's who, and then I start seeing, like, a couple people I do know, like Aaron and Julie. I knew them from school because they were upperclassmen, and so I just knew them, and Aaron rode my bus. Side note, Aaron is also my cousin now because of this marriage, like, 2nd cousin or 3rd cousin or something like that. But anyways, I think it's hilarious if anything else. But then I was like, "Okay, I know a couple people." Then there's Lisa. I knew Lisa, and then, you just start, like, seeing everybody start posting, and then we started, I don't even know if we started doing lives, and then I was pregnant with Riley. So I had been in the group for, like, I don't know, like, maybe a year, I don't know, and then I got pregnant with Riley. I was working at the time too, so it's not like I was sewing all the time. And I got pregnant with Riley, and I remember I didn't even know that you guys made quilts for each other. And so I remember getting a package one day and being like, "What is this?" And opening up the quilt you guys made for her and just, like, being a pregnant lady and just sobbing because somebody had finally made something for me
Yeah.
that I had never asked for, never intended it. Like, I never fathomed that you guys would ever make me something, and I just sobbed and sat in my little rocking chair with my big oole belly and this tiny quilt, and I just was like,
Oh my
just
gosh.
crying, ugly
That's
crying about it.
hysterical.
Then I, like, pulled my crap together, got on the live, and just thanked you guys because I just felt so good to be taken care of and had this beautiful thing that you guys had gone and made for me. The quilt is all rainbowed, it's 9 patches, and it's in a rainbow sequence, so it's Roy G. Biv, and in the middle, there's the rainbow colored one, but we had done rainbow in the nursery before rainbows were ever even a thing. I remember looking
Mm.
high and low to find everything because I always pick the thing that's not popular. I just can't help it. But I remember looking at it and just being, like, elated and just set back of how cool it was that 9 women had come together and made this beautiful gift for me across the country. 1 patch here, 1 patch here, 1 patch here, and all sent to the same person to assemble and then quilt and then send to me. It was just felt like an incredible journey, to have this beautiful
Yeah.
gift. I got the quilt and I look over and, like, on the back, there's a patch that you guys made that said "Long Distance Quilters," and then it said which of you made which block and the name of the block and who you were and where you lived at the time. I didn't really know anybody. You join a group or you get in a group of people and you don't know who the heck they are. You just kinda, like, see their faces and you're like, "Okay, she looks familiar, but I don't know who she is."
Yeah. Because
And
you didn't have
so
personal interactions with them or one-on-one, it was like a big group
yeah, it had
chat
been so
on
new.
Facebook.
Yeah, it had been so
Mhm.
new that I didn't really get to know anybody yet. So, during that time, I was still getting to know everybody. So, the first time I remember, like, talking to you individually was when you posted that you had just gotten new Tula fabric, and I can't
Tula
remember
fabric
which
is
one it was.
special.
It's very special. I think it was Spirit Animal? I think you had gotten Spirit Animal. Because wait, Slow and Steady is before Spirit Animal, right?
I don't know. Don't tell the
It was
Tula
somewhere
troops.
between Spirit Animal and Pinkerville.
Tula is like a fabric cult in the quilter community, so just so
Yes,
you
and
know, it's a whole
and when you're
thing.
really
But
deep in
Carrie
the
was new
trenches.
to it.
When you're now I'm a connoisseur, but when you're really deep in the trenches, if she wrote a series of books, each book is a fabric line, and so Pinkerville is one of her books/fabric
Mhm.
lines, and so now we use it as a timeline for when we
Yes.
were
And
friends.
we will often Google, "When did Pinkerville come out?" We're like, "Okay, we did that thing in January of 2017," because that's when it came out. Sick for timing things, actually. She does it twice a year. So every 6 months, there's a new line. That's how we mark our lives by Tula Pink's publications.
I remember you bringing it to the group and doing a live or something, and I was like, "What is this magical fabric?" Which is so
'Cause
lame,
had
it's
you
fabric,
just
right?
been shopping at, like, Hobby Lobby at that time? Like, you probably didn't know about the specialty
Yeah,
stores
I was
yet?
at Joann, and we had a we have a quilt shop in Richmond that's very, traditional quilting, so this was like if you were coloring with basic Crayolas, like your basic 8-pack, but then your friend brings you the neon pack, and you're like, "I never knew these colors existed.
Or
I
it's
didn't
like
know
when
this
Dorothy
about."
opens that door in Oz and is like, "The hell is
Yes, it was
happening?"
100%, that's what it was like, and I remember looking at it and being like, "Holy hell, what is this? This is, like, blowing my mind." So then I remember talking to you in the on the comments, and then we moved to, like, Messenger, "Where do I get this?" and talking about it, purchasing stuff, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Okay, lady, you're talking to me a lot about projects," because and then I'm, like, hyper focusing on the fabric and going to get some, and I remember it was my birthday, so John took me to the quilt shop and was like, "Get whatever you want," and they had Pinkerville there,
Oh
and
my
it was, like, the
gosh.
unicorns,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I remember being
Mhm.
like, "Oh my god," and there was Zuma too, like, right in
Yep.
that same time range, so I remember getting some stuff, going to you and being like, "Okay, now what do I do with it?" And so then you invited me to Marco Polo. So everybody knows Marco Polo is something that's keeping our dang friendship together because it's such a great program for us to use. We are not sponsored by Marco Polo, although it would be really cool if we could be, but we've literally used it for years now, and without that, we even be friends? We would know each other, but we wouldn't know each other half as well. It's a really cool app that lets you leave video voice messages
Mhm.
for each other. I was able to show her on my phone, like, what kind of projects I was working on, and then in her own time, she's able to look at it and then give advice or say what she thinks, and so we worked on projects while we were raising our children back and forth, we would be like, "Oh, I have 15 minutes, look what I'm working on." And can you help me with this or do you know how to do this? It was such a cool time to be invited to that. And then that's when we just became friends. We started chatting back and forth, figuring out different things that we liked about what we were working on and colors. And, we just kind of realized that we got along pretty good.
Yeah, because as we'd talk, you'd see a kid in the background or you'd see someone's house like, "Oh, your kitchen looks cool," or "What's this?" And then you talk about something or, "I'm making this for dinner," or whatever, or random crap, and then we'd be like, "Oh, wait, you're into personalities? You're into all these other things?" We still talk about crafts and making crap, but there's times in our life when we're not crafting as much, and we still have the stuff to talk about.
Yeah. And it was so cool because during this time, I had a baby and a 4-year-old. So I would be up in the middle of the night and that's when I got to sew. And then I'd leave you a message that was like, "Hey, this is what I'm working on," or "I'm having a hard time." That was one of my favorite things because we had started to become deeper friends and I was able to be like, "I am struggling. I am on the struggle bus right now with these small children and my husband is working." That's when John worked a swing shift. And I was just crafting to keep my mentality be okay, but also being like, "I'm just having a rough day." We were able to help each other even through I feels like time traveling sort of in a way because we're side by side, but it's, like, wonky. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like a time traveling app, and so that's when it started, and then COVID.
Oh, yeah. Then the COVID happened, but see, that was the thing. COVID happened, and so many people around the globe crashed and burned hard because they didn't have this system already set
Mhm.
up. We just kept talking. It didn't
Yeah.
matter if COVID was out there. We could still hang out because we always hung out in the internets.
Yeah,
um,
and our own time and space, because like, if it wasn't for that part of, like, being able to leave messages for each other when we could get to them, because
mhm,
we had small you had 3 kids, I had 2, and
mhm.
it was just like there was no time, but we made time. We were able to make time with Marco Polo. And, I think that that's what's made let us be friends as close as we are for this many years already, which it just I still can't even believe it's been that long because it just happened so cool,
Yeah,
over
and
the
well,
internet.
because
I
'cause we're
never anticipated to make a friend like
adults.
that.
Like, how often do adults make good friends with somebody that they're not necessarily, like you said, neighbors with or whatever?
Yeah,
That you make a
yeah.
friend with someone who's far away that you don't get to see in real life a lot, you
I
know,
haven't seen you in, if it wasn't for sewing group that, we meet in the winter
every
sometimes,
winter.
I don't think I would have seen you in the past, year,
Yeah, I
believe it
know.
or not. Because the last time I think I saw you um,
We hung out in the
before
fall.
this was, boudoir time for my birthday.
Yep. Oh, and then we hung out that fall, kinda like twice a year. And
Yeah, and
then
that's, lucky. I don't think we've been able to do that, for a year or 2.
yeah. Mhm. I am a night owl. I think you kind of are too, but you have a wacky schedule because of your husband's schedule. It don't matter when we're sleeping though, we can still be friends because you can leave me a message at 2 a.m. You're not disrupting me. I don't even know. I can respond
Mhm.
to it at 6 a.m. when you're probably still sleeping, but I had to get up for work or something, and it doesn't matter. So, we can message when we're driving around in the car.
I remember I was working at 6 I had to be to work at 6 a.m., so I was leaving them for way before you were even up,
Mhm.
but we were able to do that, so anyways, that's how I remember our friendship starting.
But why do you think we're even friends though? Because in that sewing group, there was 15 women, give or take. There might have even been more at some point. We were all on Marco Polo at one point, and I only talk to a few of you guys now this many years later. I'm still friendly with all of them, but there's only a small amount of you guys that I hang out with. And like you're the person that probably I talk
Mhm.
to and hang out with the most. You think like Marco Polo helped us become friends, but that's not why we're friends. We're friends because we have a
Mm.
lot in common and stuff. And also
Yeah,
not in
and
common, which is also cool.
I think that at the basis of many good friendships and many good relationships, you share the same belief system, or you're able to also for you and me, it's different though. We do share many beliefs. Our core values, I feel like, are mostly the same. But then also, I'm able to look at the differences that we have and I
Mhm.
appreciate them because I don't want to say vastly different, but it's a different version or a different side of a coin that I'm like, oh, I can appreciate that about you and also respect you for being the way you are for
Yeah,
yourself.
and let me be this
Does that
way.
make
And you're
sense?
like, and I'm gonna be
I
my
think it's
way.
really important. Mhm.
Which I think is cool too, because so many times when people are different from you, you're like, I just don't get it. I don't understand. But for us,
Mhm.
we understand each other and we like that about each other, And like for me,
Mhm.
I like
Yeah.
hearing from you all the things that are different about you because I'm not that way and it interests me. But we can have these respectful conversations about it and genuinely care and are interested in why the other person is who they are or does what they do or believes what they believe. And I think not a lot of people can do that. They just kinda get stuck in thinking, "Well, my way is the correct way," or, whether it's how you raise your kid or drive your car or fix your broken air
And through our
conditioning unit that's
relationship
torturing you,
yeah,
you
and through
know?
our relationship, I think that we have identified how different we are, and not only do we appreciate that about each other, but we have found a lot of moments where we have learned from each other because of that.
Mhm.
There's a ton of things I've learned from you because you are different. I love
Same.
that. And I never
And
expect you to be like me.
I think some of the magic of us being friends is that we're different, and so we can
Mhm.
talk about these different things and learn about different things. And some of the things that I love about you is because you remind me kind of my childhood or where it came from. You and your husband like wrestling, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember when I was a kid and wrestling was a thing. And like it's just
Professional wrestling. We don't like wrestling each other. We like
maybe you
professional
do.
wrestling.
There's nothing
Hey,
wrong with
let's
that. It
fix
can
some
be
videos.
part of a healthy
One second.
relationship.
Mhm.
But, things like that, we're like, "Oh my gosh, throwbacks, yes, I know I haven't heard about that in forever," or whatever, and it's really cool because it's reminding me of, like, my childhood, but we never grew up together, even though I grew up on that same side of the state as you, and we have similar
Mhm.
sort of-ish connections, but we never met, never went to the same school. I don't even think we're even close enough in age to go to high school together.
I might have been a freshman, I think, when you were a senior. I'm '01. Don't worry, I can edit this out. You don't wanna
Girl,
say.
girl, I was graduating college
Oh,
at
really? We're
that
that far?
point.
See, age is such a blurry line once you get to a certain point. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it totally blurs. I think once you reach 30, like, adult is adult. Doesn't really matter. So, like, okay, so we're grown ass adult friends. We weren't friends in
Mhm.
childhood. How often have you made an adult friend? Like, after age, we'll say 30, because in your 20s, you can still have kid stuff, fun, run around, doing crazy stuff. But after age 30, I don't think you had kids yet then, did you?
I started having kids at 30. Yeah,
Okay.
31 I was when Liam came.
So, okay, that's when life got real, real for you.
Um,
So,
if I can really go into a friendship as an adult because I think it's important to be very, very clear about this because as a kid, I had like no friends. I had no friends as a kid. Like I had acquaintances and kids that lived on my street that were friends with me, but I always found these kids that would just treat me poorly. I was a very nice person. I was a nice kid. I mean, I didn't have a lot. And I think that's one of the things you and I share is that we grew up like with not a lot.
mhm.
We grew up in the country.
Yep.
We've both worked our heinies off to have what we have. Um,
Our families had
we both have
chaos in
red-haired
them.
husbands too. Both our husbands
Mhm.
have red hair, which is that's another thing we
That's
share.
another thing we just, like, a trauma we share. No.
Yeah, yeah, that too. Um, I don't know, we have enough of the same, like, we always talk about how we have blue collar family,
Yeah, and when you talk about, "Oh, I didn't have, like, these new school clothes this year," or you have some memory,
Mhm,
I'm like, "Oh, yeah. I've been there." And
yep,
we get it, and we're not like, "Well, what's wrong with you? Why'd you grow up poor?" or whatever, and we both understand it has nothing to do with intelligence or even drive. Like, I don't know about your parents, my parents have exceptional drive, but just the way
mhm,
things happen, you can work your ass off as much as you want, but sometimes things are still hard. So,
mhm.
I really like that because we can just be real with each other and we understand. But
I
other
think
friends you get, they have different experiences. Yeah.
it's funny, so let's backpedal to as I was a kid. When I was a kid, would meet these people, and I would go to school and be like thirsty for friendship. I'd just be so thirsty for the friendship and just trying to be nice and liked and just enough to have people like to be with me, that
Mhm.
weren't going to stab me in the back or like and I remember being a small child and just like crying because I was I was called weird and I literally there's nothing wrong with me. There's
Mhm.
absolutely nothing that made me weird. I was like poor maybe and I had different
But so
stuff
was
than
everyone
others.
else at your school. That's the
Yeah,
thing. But anyways,
yeah.
go ahead.
I mean, that's a perception, right? But, like so I remember being just, like, doing whatever I could to try to be liked. Like, I remember I started listening to alternative music because I wanted to have something to talk about with people that they were talking about so I could kind of, like, get into the group, get
Mhm.
into,
Even if
like,
it wasn't
friendship.
your natural, like, "I love it."
Yeah,
You're like,
I
"I'll do
just was
this."
trying so hard to be accepted. So I remember there was this point, like, trying to be in this group, trying to be in this group, like, just trying to find friends so bad and so hard. And I remember, like, um, it didn't help me because I started to make friends in high school, and then my parents got
Then you
divorced, and I had to
move.
move away. And
Yeah.
then I went to 4 different high schools between my junior and my senior year, so that didn't help me. I didn't have a
No.
car, I lived far away from my old friends. You asked, like, how I made friends. I would get with these people that were, like, similar interests, but I would still find these people that, like, didn't stick around, and I couldn't really figure out why, you know? Um, I don't have a ton of friends from when I was younger. I don't. Um but I recognized at a certain point that it was because I was trying so hard to make friends that I wasn't being myself. And when I started to be myself, which was probably when we were in the quilt group, when I started in the quilt group and after that, I really started to break down the masks of ADHD and just learning more about myself and being a more confident person and a confident parent. And John really slapped me across the face figuratively once because he was like, "Carrie, not every person you meet is your friend. Just because you talk to them at work doesn't make them your friend." I was like, "What do you mean?" "What do you mean?" It, like, broke me because I didn't understand that there was this thing called acquaintances.
Yeah.
And he had to tell me about that because I did not I was so thirsty for friendship that I
Yeah.
made every person I came to that I had a conversation with or banter
Any
with
kind
at
of
work.
friendly, yeah, connection.
Yeah, it become my friend. That's my friend. And you know how I am. I'm loyal as F. So
Uh-huh.
if you're my friend, I will be throwing my body on the railroad so that way you can get you and your family across. Like that's how I really, really was when I was younger. Um, but then I started figuring it out and realizing, oh, wait, I don't have to kill myself and do all these jump through all these hoops for people for them to be my friend. I can just be myself and the right people will
And
come
then
to me. You
you will
become
have
like a
friends.
magnet, right? I have way more friends now than I ever did as a kid. Especially like I call them ride or dies, like the
Mhm.
ones that have been through the shit with me, especially when I was pregnant and I needed help, or, the friends that have just been around for a long time.
Mhm.
I've got a good handful of them. And then I've noticed that I started just making new friends with people whose kids play with my kids, not buddy. So that was a big lesson for me is learning like I don't need to be friends with every single person whose kid plays with my kid. And then, like, as I'm, like, learning about acquaintances, then I'm like, "Well, what other levels of friendship are there?" Right? Because you start to understand, like, okay, someone down the street that their kid plays with your kid, you can be friends, you can be friendly,
Mhm.
but you're not gonna text each other in the middle of the night and be like, "Oh, I'm messed up, like, I'm
Yeah.
sad," or "My grandpa
Y
died," or
yeah.
whatever. And there's the levels of friendship where which I love this as an adult, where I'm like, "Okay, you are my friend. I am your friend. And I don't have to see you and text you every day to be your friend. I know that if something happens and I need you, or I have extra cookies, that I can just bring them to you. Or I
Yeah.
can, whatever the kid, you need me to pick up your kid, I got you. And there's
And they're
those
not
kinds
gonna
of,
think, "She doesn't care about me anymore." They're just like, "Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
you
And there's just
we're"
different
yeah.
kinds. And I think I've learned lately that the community that you want is the community that you build. Not everybody is gonna wanna be a part of that community, and that's
Yeah.
okay, because
Mhm.
different people offer different levels and different things to the community and to friendships, so you just have to be okay with whoever you're friends with at their level. You have to meet them where they are and be okay with who they are and not judge them and just be cool with it, and if you can, then you can have a lot of friends, but that's the big difference between friendships now and friendships as a kid. I am my authentic self. This is who I am. This is how I love. I love hard. I love fast. I love strong. I'm loyal as hell,
And
but
if
I'm
I don't
not
wanna
gonna
listen to
take it.
alternative music, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, yeah.
You can rock out by yourself, and I'm gonna listen to something else.
And the biggest part about being a friend as an adult is knowing who you are.
Mhm.
Because if you decide that, "Oh, I'm gonna be friends with Janie," and Janie
Mhm.
listens to alternative music and ICP, like, like, or whatever, and she, dresses like a clown, I'm gotta be cool with that. If I'm not
Mhm.
cool with that, then I'm not her friend, and you just have to accept people for who they are and then decide if that works for you.
Yeah. And she's your friend that you can send clown memes to. She'll
Yeah,
get it.
and she'll love them. Yeah. Sorry,
It's so
Janie.
great to have so many
But,
different kinds of friends.
and now I have friends that I play D&D with, and now I have all sorts of different friends besides
Yeah, and
just quilting. Go
you
ahead.
learn so many things from them. I'm wondering if being in the
Mhm.
quilt group, did that help you in your unmasking? Because everyone on there was kinda who they are. We had this commonality, which was we like to sew and make things, and we're always like, "Yeah, cool, you're making cool stuff," and just supportive, but we all had different vibes, like, there's a component in there of women who homeschooled their children, there was women
Mhm.
who were professionals and sent their children to childcare, women whose husbands were traveling, women whose husbands were there. We all had these different lifestyle choices,
Mhm.
which were accepted by everyone because everyone was happy with their choices, and so we were supportive. Do you think that played a role, or do you think it was kind of that time of your life where you were just mentally getting there and you just happened to be in this group that kinda helped facilitate that?
Good question. I think for me, it could be part time of my life. I can tell you right now, 100% the quilt group helped me figure it out. And it's because of the vulnerability that we all shared, especially when COVID went down and we were all like on the struggle bus, and some people's husbands were overseas.
Mhm.
Some people were, I mean, it was just indoors with 5 kids. It was
Mhm.
just all these different scenarios, and it's not like it was just COVID, but, like, there's so many friends in this group that because they are from different backgrounds and they are authentically themselves, and because of just, like, when we get together in quote weekend, oh my god, we just talk about so many things, and I learned so much about other people and cultures and different, ways of living, and just the vulnerability that they all share let me share my vulnerability too to understand myself. I think if they wouldn't be have been, vulnerable like that, there would still be a lot of masking for, like, the protection, right? Because
Mhm.
you wanna be like everybody else to be in a group without vulnerability.
Yeah.
Do you think it helped you? I mean, you've always been yourself, but what do
Yeah,
you
I've
think the
always been
quilt group has
myself.
done for you?
But, well, it was just refreshing because Carrie, so we're authentic people. You're learning to be your authentic self and how good that feels, but you also know what it's like to be around people who aren't, who haven't learned that.
Mhm.
And in my life too. Um, Most of the people that I have in my life are authentic people because I'm drawn to that. But just in the community, in the workplace, in church and places you go, there are people who still do the masking or kind of don't even know how to really talk about how they feel about things or be open and vulnerable, like you said. So it was refreshing because in quilt group, everything went. There was nothing was too weird to talk about or too taboo. I mean, we don't like talking politics because that's frankly it's boring, but everything else was totally on the table. And so it was just energizing to be around these people who are all like, this is who I am and what I do. And there was no judgment. And we all just kinda liked that about each other. So, no, I did appreciate it greatly. But also that's why I appreciate you because we're real with each other, and not everyone is like that,
Mhm.
you know? So,
Yeah.
I think it is really special to find a group, and I don't know if that's one of the keys to adult friendships, is joining groups where you have a common interest, but then have the different personalities within it because that's how you kind of stick together. Because it's not you're not all thinking the same thing. Like, we all have the same political views or schooling views or whatever. We all have different views, but we all happen to like Insane Clown Posse or whatever. That's the thing that holds us together, but it's not like some opinionated thing that holds you together. It's just a common interest.
I think the keys to making friends as adults is common interest. That's a huge one because that's kind of like the door opening. You
Mhm.
go through a hallway and you find the door that is kind of like your genre, like what you enjoy.
Mhm.
That's the first thing. The second thing is ego. Drop the ego right away. Like, what are you there for? Are you there to make friends? Or are you there to pretend?
Mhm.
I mean, if you want to pretend, find a drama club. You know what I mean? That's not if you want authentic relationships, you have to be authentic, right? And the
Yep.
only way to do that is to drop the ego and drop the idea of what you think it should be. I Make it
Which
what
can
you
be
want it to
scary.
be.
Like I'm sure you
Yeah,
could
it's
say
very
it's
scary. You have
terrifying.
to.
Because if you do that with the wrong people, you won't be accepted, and then you're like, "Crap, that doesn't work." What does work? Just you gotta find the right people.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. You have to drop your ego and you have to be authentic because right away, people you're gonna know if it's a yes or a no. You're gonna know. The biggest thing is not having an ego and not being offended by that because not every person in your life that comes into your life that's a friend is going to be a person that stays forever. They might
Mhm.
bring something into your life right when you need it or share something with you, and then until you don't share that anymore, you may grow past
Mhm.
that or grow past something, and then you move on, and you have to be okay with that. So, I said authentic, drop ego, common interest, right? And then there's also vulnerability. Like, you don't have to tell everybody about every skeleton in your closet, right? But the vulnerability of, like, hey, I am a person who will go walking with you 3 times a week. I will help you with your kids. I will be there if you need me, but I am not gonna be a person that talks on text to you 100 times a day. Like, I am just not a person to text like that. Just putting out there your boundaries or what you can bring that you are safe bringing, I think is okay because someone's either gonna be like, "Oh, no, I only text," or, "Oh, I don't walk." They're just gonna when you put what you have out on the table, the people who want to be with you will just come to you. Like, they'll just come to you, but being vulnerable out the gate and just being like, "This is what I offer. This is what my needs are," doesn't work for you. I think it cuts through so much red tape, like, so
Uh-huh.
much red tape, and just dropping that understanding of, like, that everybody is gonna be your friend and everyone's gonna be the person to get your back. I guess that's another thing. Not everybody is gonna love the relationship and treat the relationship like you, and you
Mhm.
have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
Because in adulting, I take care of a lot of people, not just the people in my house, but I take care of my dad, I help my mom. Like, there's a lot of things that I do, and I can't be the person to, you know, hang out every day. I have to be the person that, like, you can leave a Marco Polo for, and I'll get back to you,
Mhm.
but it's not gonna be today and probably gonna be tomorrow, and you gotta be okay with that. Sharing that vulnerability of what your expectations are, and that's, I think, the greatest way to make friends as an adult. What do you think? What
I think one thing to add, and maybe it's not for all people, but it's for someone like me, is intentionality because um unlike you, I don't need everyone to be my friend. I only like 2 friends at a time. So you're welcome. You're one of them. I get
I like
maxed
what I
out.
made it
I'm like, I have too many friends. And most people are like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I'm so sad I don't have enough friends." I'm like, "You guys, if you only need a few, you have more than enough." Like, you don't ever feel like you need more. So when you talked about everyone's my friend, I'm like, "Oh, that sounds terrifying." Sounds like walking into IKEA and being like, all of these people I'm beholden to, and I have to know their names and their birthday and care about them. That's too much. Um, but
But that's a
so
great
maybe
so what I'm hearing you say is that you're authentic, though. I'm still hearing your authenticity of, "These are the amount of friends I can have, and this is
Mhm.
my why." Like,
I'm
that
maxed out.
I think
Mhm.
already out the gate, like, that's huge for you, right?
But
Okay,
it's
go ahead,
hard
sorry.
too because I do like people, and I think that's something you and I have in common, even
Mhm.
though you're an extrovert, I'm an introvert. I like people, and I like connecting with people. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, I really like that person. I like connecting with them," but I just sorry, I've don't have bandwidth right now for that, and I have to accept that. But I also have to be intentional and hang out with the friends I do have and maintain those
Mhm.
relationships because I can just get off in my own little hermit world. Thankfully, my husband is an extrovert, and he will make moves to hang out with people and connect with people and stuff. So I see him doing it. Either he does it with our mutual friends, and so I see my friends, or I see him doing that. I'm like, I need to do that. I need to do that.
Mhm. And
So,
sometimes, like, and that's the cool things, but and that's what's cool about being vulnerable. You're telling me already, like, I need some other person to sometimes reach out and say, "Hey, let's get together." Like, your
mhm.
bandwidth is different from mine, and because we are friends because I respect that from you, and I know that's how you are, and I've accepted that years ago, right? But if I call you or something happens, you will call me and be like, "Are you okay?" Like,
Yeah,
we know that about each other, and I'll be like, "Hey, I haven't seen you in 8 months.
let's
Is
hang
it
out.
okay if I come over?" Or whatever, like,
Or
but
like the other
that's
day when
why.
you texted me something and I thought your dad was dead. I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
what the hell you texted me, and I'm like, "The I was in work, I just got to work, and I'm like, "Lord Jesus, this
Yeah, you
cannot
called me.
be
I was
happening."
like, "Oh
And so I
my god,
immediately
hi."
called you, and you answered the phone like a normal person and not like, "My dad is dead."
Crying, yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, "Uh, hello?" And you're like, "He ain't dead." No, I typed something completely different.
Yeah.
And I think I don't even you might have had one word different, but when I went back and read it, I was like, I was reading way too fast. You did
Oh,
not
yeah, yeah.
say
But
that he was dead. And so I was like, "Oh my gosh." But yeah, that's the kind of thing where like if your dad is dead, I'm calling you.
Mhm.
Thankfully he's not, and I won't call you for
Yeah.
other reasons too, but um
Mhm.
things like that. So, yeah, that's how I am as a person, and I can go forever. Like that's why like we can talk on Marco Polo. That's how I keep in touch with my people.
Mhm.
Um but I even think about my own sister lives in the same town as me, Carrie, and I don't see her a lot. And I love my sister, and we
Yeah.
have a lot of fun together. And sometimes she sees my children more than she sees me just because I'm off doing stuff. And so I've had to
Mhm.
learn to be like, you know what? I literally have to reach out to my sister. And she's not upset by it, but we also like seeing each other. But neither of us really think to really call each other. So I'm
And,
like,
I think it's important to manage that or to mention that siblings are a different kind of level friendship. They're just on their own grid, and same thing with cousins. Like, my cousins, God, I love them so much, and there's things they know about me that, like, nobody else could because we grew up in the same family, but I don't always talk to every single one of them every day, and they're
oh, yeah.
kinda like the friends that like, I have one cousin that
But
I
you
talk
don't
to
have to see him
constantly.
all the time,
But I don't
and it's
have
fine.
to, yeah. And it's that expectation of like, "Hey, I know who you are, I know who I am, and eventually we'll get together, or one of us will be the person that's more proactive," or like whatever, and just that understanding because I have had friendships that have failed because the expectations from one another is not the same. Yeah, different friends are different ways, and so, like, setting that expectation of, like, "This is who I am," the vulnerability is key to giving that expectation. It sets up really good friendships because my friends know that if they need me, I'm there, and also, like, I might see them 25 times in 1 week, and then I may not see them for 25 weeks because of
Mhm.
how things work, and I tell them that, and I have to be okay with that, and most of the time they get it because I put it out there of that expectation of, like, what being my friend is.
And also for
And
them to
I
know,
think
because
that's key.
would they have guilt? Like, I hung out with Carrie, like, 7 times last week. Is she gonna feel bad that I didn't call her or text her or whatever? But since you
Mhm,
explained it to them, they're like, "Oh, no. We will text each other when we think of it and when it comes around again. Could be tomorrow,
mhm.
could be in a week," and neither person is worried that you're not friends anymore or something. You know,
Yeah, and
that's
some
just how it
people I've
works.
told, like, I have friends that I will I tend to gravitate to a friend at a time or a couple friends at a time, and then
Mhm,
the rotation will sort of change in and out.
mhm,
And it's just how things work for me, and I will tell my friends that, and because a real friend doesn't care that you have other friends.
mhm.
Like, I have had friendships where people get, like, mad at me for hanging out with other
Oh,
people
yeah.
because they're
I
yeah,
had
and
one of
so
those.
yeah, and it's like, that's not how things work for
Mm-mm.
me. Like, some
No,
people can work like that, I can't. So, again, the
I
open
don't know.
vulnerability, dropping the ego and just being like, "Hey," and being okay with people not reciprocating. That's one of the
Mhm.
biggest parts about it, and not taking it personal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, have you ever like, what is your do you have a friendship style of friends come in phases? Like you said, you have friends that kind of come in the rotation of intensity where you're like, I'm hanging out with this person a lot. But I know some of these people that you're talking about have been friends with you forever and will be friends with you forever, just at different levels throughout your life. So I think what I'm picking up from you is that you are a person who has friends for life. You know, some people have friends in phases, and that's just like that friend came into your life, served a purpose, which you might have had some of those, and then went away, and it was okay. It might have been a work colleague or someone from school or something situational, or a neighbor who lived there. You had a really great relationship. They moved away. Your friendship is not there anymore, but it was okay because there was a point in your life where it was important. But have you had many like that, or are you a person where once someone's your friend, it's kind of like, yeah, we'll always be friends, regardless of kind of the intensity of it over the years?
I have definitely had both. There was a moment that I checked my how do I say this? My insecurities and checked my commitment to see if I had any, like, commitment issues because
Mhm.
I had this I don't wanna say slew because it sounds like I'm just, like, throwing people, like, left and right, but I had this amount of people that all of a sudden were, like, fast, hard friendships, and I was, like, loving it, and I was having a great time, and everything was cool, and then all of a sudden they were gone, and I was like, "What the hell just
Whoa.
happened?" And I thought,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, am I sabotaging these? Am I being out of line? Do I have commitment
Mm.
issues?" I went down this whole thing of, like, "Oh my god, what is happening?" Because I think in a way, the younger part of me who was so thirsty for friends was like, "Oh no, what's happening?" Like, afraid that I was, like, losing friendships, you know?
Yeah.
Then I recognized that as the fate and this is something to like, if you are a person who's listening right now and you're like, "Oh, man, I do need some friends," and you or a person who is a masker, so a masking, if you're not familiar, is like I'm ADHD, so masking was a thing for me. And so basically, I would put on this super happy face, "Hi, let's be friends,"
Oh
and
my
I would
gosh, I'm
like kind of
Cary.
like I would like change who I was in a way to make myself more approachable, but also, and it was something that I idly happened in my head. It was not something I ever understood that I was even doing, but I would like change who I was to be more accepting, more loving, like more
In the room.
whatever,
Did
to
you
make more
adapt to
friends.
whoever was in the room? It's because, like you said, you did for the alternative music. Because that, side note, is an Enneagram 3 thing, which is one of your
Mhm,
wings. So,
mhm.
you naturally have that, which can be a blessing if you are aware of it and are healthy about it, because you can get
Yeah,
along and you can walk into any room and slide into the vibe.
yes,
As
I could do
long
that
as
for sure.
you know, "I'm choosing to slide into this vibe, and I can just be myself at any point,"
Mhm.
it can be a really cool asset. But when you don't understand and you just instinctively feel like you have to do that, which it sounds like is what you were doing
Yeah,
when
it
you were
was just
younger.
instinctively, like, not even recognizing I was doing it, and so as I started removing the masks, that's what let the people go away. So, if you're a person who is a masker, you have to be okay with letting go of people because as you become more authentic and you take the masks off for good, some people will go away. Some people will still be there. Many
Mhm.
people will still be there, but there will be moments where people slip out of your life. And I recognize that that's part of the reason why people were slipping out of my life. And I was going through a lot of change. Like it was after my spiritual awakening and I was in the trenches with it and I didn't like there's no way to know until you're out of it. Like you
Yeah.
just but I was being more authentic, getting rid of the masks, and people just went away, and I have to be okay with it because it made space for people who really cared about me to come
Mhm.
in, and also it made I think, some long-lasting friends. I can't say because, some of the friendships I have are still fairly new in years,
Newer.
but I definitely recognize that I did not have commitment issues because I have one of my friends I've been friends with since I was 5, and other ones I've been friends with for like 20 years. So it's
Mhm.
not me. And I'm
Yeah.
also a firm believer that God, the universe, puts people in your path sometimes, not just to challenge you, to help you grow, but also to help you. And
Mhm.
so some people aren't meant to be in your life for years and years and years and forever.
Yeah.
They're just not. And so I just accepted that as part of it because,
Yeah.
you can't be friends with everybody, you know. Sometimes you have to understand that it's an acquaintance.
Your poor
So,
husband, he had no idea that that basically crushed you or like it rocked your world. You were like, "This is a
I definitely
universal
needed to hear it.
truth."
I definitely needed and he's an introvert, so he has a select amount of friends too, and
Yeah.
he will openly be like, "That pick that's not my friend, that's somebody I know." And I'm like,
Mhm.
What do you mean? You
"Do
work
you wanna
with
have your
10
friend
people
over
and you
for
know."
brats?" And he's like, "No, I only talk to him about Stephen King books. Go away."
Yes, yes, yeah, exactly, exactly.
He doesn't even
So,
eat brats, and you're like,
he
"But
doesn't
it's
even eat
good that
'em.
you're in his life because he might not recognize his Stephen King book buddy would like to come over for brats, maybe,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And he's not
that's
thinking of that
probably
because he's like, "Well, that's the compartment of that friendship." And
I
so
think he
having
love hates this about me. Yeah, I think he is like you because he relies on me to bring people over to hang out.
Mhm.
If I did not do that, he would not have
And
a
he'd
lot
be
of friends. And
completely happy. But
yeah.
when you do that, I'm guessing he does, sees the value in it, like, "Oh, yeah, that was nice." I wouldn't do that myself, but I liked that, and I'm glad that she did that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So
it
I
is
think that
helpful.
that's yeah, it's so I've been through it, with friends, and now I recognize that how to make friends and how to keep friends is 50% me and 50% them. I can only do so much, but it's not a guaranteed thing and I have to be okay with that.
Mhm.
Cuz life changes. That's the only thing that's guaranteed is life changes
Yeah.
constantly. So,
I think that's so impressive, Carrie, because not everybody can do that. Like, for you to grow and learn that about yourself because you seem to know it at a molecular level. And I'm sure there's times where you still find yourself just starting to mask or whatever, or maybe have days where you do that. But for the most part, you know who you are. And it doesn't seem to be this internal battle that you're still waging. You've mostly won the battle of being your true self out in the world, which I know is also hard for you because you're a person who's just a really sensitive person who cares about people and likes to like to connect with people. And like you've
mhm.
talked about when somebody said you were weird or whatever, elementary school or something, which kids say stupid stuff all the time. But kids like you hear that one thing and you're like, this has ruined everything, jerks. Like, don't say that to me. So for you to be able to kind of overcome that and be like, okay, even if somebody says I'm weird or whatever, I'm going to be myself. I'm sure it's a conscious effort you still make, but you do it. And a lot of people don't ever get to that point. So,
Thank you. And I encourage everyone that it's never too late to make friends. It's never ever too late. I
no.
look at my mother who doesn't have friends and her friends are her kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a beauty in that, but I also wish that she had some of her own
Mm-hmm.
because friends bring so much to the table. They bring laughter, they bring support, they bring new ideas, and
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that talking to other friends my age, in my age group, we'll say, because it's a big group, right?
Mm-hmm.
That many of our mothers do not have friends or are lacking where like maybe they had one or two and they moved away and like they'd only had one or two their whole life. And so we I've visited this idea last year and I would now that we're talking about it I'm going to bring it back up, but I want to take my mom on a friend date. I want to get with I like I don't a speed date with friends for older ladies because honestly like I have friends and I'm like, "Okay, I like this person and I like their mother, but that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean my mother is." So, I'm gonna try to set up some awkward I hope she doesn't listen to this episode because she did download. But if sh if she
Do we need to
does,
put in the
I'll have to
title?
have this
Do not
conversation.
listen, Carrie's mom. Do not listen.
Yeah. Then she
I'll let
will
you know
listen because
when. You can listen
yeah,
someday, just not today.
yeah. If you say don't do it, then she definitely will. But, I think that now that we're talking about this, I'm gonna take my mom on some friend dates, and I'm gonna get her some friends somehow, or let her at least put the idea that she can make some friends because you're never too old, and there's so many people out there looking for friendship, especially men. I noticed that there's so many lonely men that just need a friend, and I don't think it's too late for them either.
Yeah. Which is a whole other discussion because they're a whole
Yeah.
'nother shell of nuts because they don't
Yes.
they don't even know how to be real with themselves, I don't think. It was never
Yeah,
modeled for them.
that's a whole thing. Yeah. But anyways,
So,
this is why we are friends,
because
right?
we like to talk about cool crap like this.
Yeah, and honestly, like because we are diverse and also similar with the core, we also have taught each other a lot, you know? Like I noticed that if there's ever a time like we can be vulnerable and we can be safe with each other, right? But
Mhm.
anytime that I find something you're saying like stressful or challenging or like it makes me like, it's usually because it's something that I don't do or I haven't grasped. And I've noticed that when things feel really challenging or hard, it's usually a lesson that needs to be learned. So, like we
Ah.
talked about this in episode 2, right? Or the book The Shoot where you went through your closet and you were like throwing things out. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're throwing things away. What do you mean you can't accept my donation to your closet? Like, what do you mean? And then I realized, oh, it's because this feels hard for me. This is something I have to reflect on. It's something that I need to look at, and it's something I can change. And since then,
Mm.
we talked about this. I went through my entire closet and I started going to this thing called the Revamp Fashion Swap, which
Oh,
I am
yeah.
still trying to get you to go. One day our schedules will align and we can go. But basically, it's this really cool thing where you empty out your closet and all any closet adjacent things, and you take this to this big like meeting place, and there's volunteers that take your bags and dump them all out according to size in an area. And basically, you go through and you get to, like, just pay $20 per bag, and you get to just, like, get a whole new closet for 20 bucks or more if you want. But
Yeah.
but if you hadn't put that in my head that, like, keep the clothes that you feel good in. Stop dressing in cardboard boxes and plastic bags. Like, what do you want to wear that makes you feel good? Since then, my closet has exploded. Let's be honest, right? The sequin jacket that I
Mhm.
wear all the time,
Mhm. Yep.
that's a thing. The gummy bear purse, there's all these different accessories and different things I
But
have
that bring
gotten
you
because of
joy.
that bring me joy that I like to wear, and if I didn't go through that challenging event where you said what you wanted and it offended me enough to that I was like, "Ah," if
That's
I
cra
didn't reflect on it,
like,
I would have never known that.
I'm not surprised that me not accepting the gift frustrated you because the last people be like, "I'm giving you a damn gift. What the hell's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
But I didn't know that me just dumping my wardrobe, you were just like, just this is so highly offensive. I don't even know why you can do this." It's
It
too
was stressful
funny.
'cause I'm like, "What are you gonna wear?" And you were like, "I don't know. I'll figure it out." And you did, and everything was fine. I should not be stressed about your
Oh my
closet. I
god.
shouldn't, but I was. But then
Yeah.
that was a red flag for me of like, "Oh, wait, I need to pay attention. Why am I triggered by this?
Mhm.
Why is this triggering me?" And other things you've taught me are like quality versus quantity. You're such a stickler for quality. And I'm like, just buy fucking
It's
earrings,
on
April. Just
sale.
buy the
Just
earrings.
buy it.
Just buy the earrings. They're $5." And you're like, "No, I need this $50 pair from
Because I
Brambles."
will wear
And I'm
it.
like, "What?" And then I'm like, "Ooh, those are
Mhm.
nice Brambles."
Yeah. But
Brambles,
also
well,
you can
you could
have
be a
cheap.
sponsor for us too.
Oh, yeah. You can have cheap $5 earrings. So,
I mean, you
but
can
what
have both, but
yeah.
but without you I mean, and now I'm teaching it to my kids, like, "Okay, you can get this $5 hat, but do you really love it?
Mhm.
Do you really love it?
Yeah.
Or are you
And
just buying it
conversely,
'cause
I've
it's
learned
$5?"
from you, I can have earrings that are not Brambles. Brambles is a wooden earring maker in Michigan because I like aesthetic and I like to have a certain vibe. But you have just given me earrings over the years because you know I like big but not heavy, right? And so you've
Mhm.
even made me earrings too, which I loved. I always loved. But like you've randomly given me other earrings, you're like, these are cool. I like them. I never would have bought them. I
Yeah.
never would have picked them out just because I'm like, I can only buy so many things and it has to be like this. But I wear them. And so I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm grateful for people like you who are like, I see something that I know you'd like. You have no idea that you'd like it. It might sit in your closet for a little bit. And then one day you'll realize that's some cool ass earrings. And then you wear them.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
like I have learned to do that. Be like, accept the gift and then accept even if I don't know if you've ever given me anywhere anything where I didn't like get it, you know? But
Mhm.
sometimes I'll get things like, "Oh, those are cool," but I don't know like what I'd ever wear that with. And then later it just connects.
Mm.
You gave me some black backed earrings with like gold butterflies.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah,
"Well,
I
I don't
forgot
wear
about those.
black." Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I didn't because I wear them. Um And I was like, "Oh, they're so pretty, but I don't know when I'd ever wear them. Whatever." And then one day my brain just started grabbing them because they went with stuff, and they're part of my
Mhm.
regular butterfly rotation. So,
But
yeah,
if you
that's
ever were
really
like, "I don't like these earrings," you know, because we are friends, true friends that and based on our vulnerability, dropping the ego, all our authenticity together, if you didn't want them and you got rid of them,
because
I
they're
would
not
be
good
okay.
earrings. Yeah. But you know me well
Um
enough that I learn now to trust, be like, "Okay, these are something I should wear." You know, and like,
Mhm.
um that slamming. You got me a butterfly necklace, guys. We do
Mm,
butterflies. And I loved it. So I've always thought it was so cool, but I didn't realize how fun it would be to wear it. Like I saw it and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But if I saw it in a store, I don't know if I'd buy it because I'm like, I should buy a pair of pants or something instead. But you got that, which is really cool because I just get so excited whenever I wear it. I'm like, I'm a butterfly. And people are like, I love your necklace. And so it brings more people joy than just me,
yeah, it's a
because you
statement
get
piece,
that. Like you
right?
have that vision for things like that where I'm just,
Mhm.
so that's just one example, clothing and fashion.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
So, but that's friendship. That's how we became friends and kind of what friends look like for us. So hopefully you had a lot of really good, I think, encouraging thoughts on friendship for people who might be in people have lonely periods in their life. And maybe you had friends
Mhm.
a few years ago and you don't now. There's nothing wrong with you if you're listening and thinking, I don't have friends. That's normal. But you can make
Yeah.
them. Follow Carrie's 4 steps to friendship, okay? And then report back in a few months and see
Yeah.
see how many friends you have.
Yeah, that would be cool. And
Not too
I'm
many if you don't want that many. But
and I think that there's a certain if you aren't happy with the friends you are with, you're not gonna bring in the people that are the same as you because those people are bringing you down. So, like, be okay with, like, saying goodbye to people. Sometimes you have to do that and then go through if you're going through a period of loneliness, it could be because literally those people haven't made it to you yet. And you'll be okay,
yep.
just keep trying, you know?
Thank you for listening to Finch and Sparrow podcast. We hope that you enjoyed our stories related to our lessons or just laughed along with us. We sincerely thank you for spending your time with us today. A special thanks to our friend Caitlin Vinci for letting us use her song We Rise. You can check out her full song and other tracks at CaitlinVinciMusic.com. Follow along with us on our Instagram at Finch_N_Sparrow. There you can find out what we're up to, see what's inspiring us, and maybe what we're going to do next. See you next time.
Yes, you can be real and true, and it's all you allow yourself to do.